All right. Well, thank you for joining another episode of Foundational Voices. Today we're going to talk a bit in detail about federal contracting. And back with us today is Heather France from TESSERE. And Heather, you and I have had 4 years to kind of work through a lot of projects and build a relationship because your firms, both the previous and current, have engaged us as a technology consultant to handle things like security and AV and all the network design responsibilities on federal projects. And I was always curious, you being a prime have to be very careful about who you bring onto your team, right?
Sure.
As we've talked about, the government actually has a system for keeping score on basically client satisfaction scores on
what they call a CPARS.
CPARS, which is it's just a fancy way of saying we're keeping score of how well you're performing on various projects, and it's across all agencies, right?
It's across everyone, and it's your report card of how well you do or don't do or where you missed the mark. It's all there, and it's private, so it's not totally available to the public, but it's available to every contracting officer who's evaluating you.
So obviously it's critical that you bring on the right partners on your team when you're priming a project, because a bad partner can reflect badly on you, right?
That's right.
So tell me a little bit about what at a high level, what's the process you go through when you're looking to bring on partners to help you with specific projects?
Yeah, so it always starts off with the RFP, right? You have to go through that solicitation and look to see what are the requirements. Where is this firm located? Is there a geographic requirement in here that says they have to be located in this region? And of course, it's always helpful to have that. And with TESSERE being pretty centrally located with the Midwest, we go after a lot of those opportunities, and you guys being here central as well is helpful. So we look at those. We look at things on resumes, on qualifications. How many years of experience do your staff have? Are there any certifications that are required for those staff members that we'd be bringing into this team to have? So we look at those as well. There's so many factors. What kinds of past performance do you have? What do your projects look like? Are they relevant? If I'm seeking a hospital project, I want to make sure that you've done some hospital projects as well. If I'm doing a barracks project, I want to make sure that you have some sort of barracks or housing in there as well, just to really tie in and kind of help paint the picture for the contracting officer that we're familiar with what we're doing. So there's a lot of factors that go into it.
So when the contracting officer is looking at what you've submitted for a particular project, how much weight do you think the subconsultants that you're bringing on actually, do they look hard at the subconsultants? I mean, I'm assuming that that's going to reflect on the whole team, right?
I mean, it does. So in our AE packages that we submit, it's for the government, it's on a form SF-330. And there's this G matrix in the back, and we have to list out every person and every resume, every firm that's involved with this. And we've basically been told by so many agencies that, the G matrix is towards the back, but it's the most important part of that. And it's going to show what their past performance is, right? To really paint that picture of, have we worked together? Is the relevance there? Are we a brand new team? Like, they've essentially come out and told us that's the first page we flip to. So yeah, the consultants are really important on who we're picking and if we've worked together, and even if we haven't, and if that little box in that G matrix isn't checked, they can go and look and see, well, the project that they listed for this firm is this type that sounds familiar, so they can go and look at those resumes and get a little bit more insight on it. It's very important. It will make or break whether or not you are able to obtain that federal award.
So I'm assuming the contracting officer, they're looking at the strength of the team, they're evaluating in their own mind, what's the risk that this team can perform or not perform well, right? Because obviously if you don't perform well, you created a whole domino effect.
For sure.
And the worst possible scenario is they terminate the contract, which
for cause
is even more work for the government, right? And then they've wasted time and dollars and created. If you have to terminate an A&E partner, talk about destroying your schedule. I mean, it's a nuclear option, and frankly, I don't think it happens very often, which is good news. I sure don't ever want to be on the wrong end of that.
Yeah, and it takes a lot for that to happen, but sometimes it's necessary, and luckily, we've never had to do it.
No, never ever had that issue. I want the contracting officer to look at that and go, oh, there's like zero risk this is going to go sideways.
Yeah, and that G matrix paints that picture for them. Look at all of these projects that we've done together. Look how these went. Look, and with this project that they listed that they worked on, look how well this CPARS reports that. Look at all these things that said that the communication was fluid, that everything was transparent, that they were able to identify long lead time items for a general contractor or address hurdles and alternatives for design. And it helps a ton. It just helps.
Well, you got to think if you have, multiple qualified teams, and that contracting officer's having to make a decision between picking from three good teams, right? What does it come down to? And I got to think that how well that team has performed together on past projects would certainly give you an advantage over a well-qualified team that doesn't have as much experience together.
Yeah, I mean, you think about that from a contractor's perspective, a contracting officer's perspective, in the same way that we would if we were looking at doing a home remodel.
Sure.
If I'm going to hire a general contractor, I want to know that he's used that carpenter and that plumber before, in the same way that a contracting officer wants to know that I've worked with, the architect has worked with CRUX and has worked with my MEP in the past, and that we communicate well and understand what the goals are and are able to complete projects together. Because just because you're on a contract under the same opportunity doesn't mean you're going to be able to complete it. But if you can show that you have the right team there on that section G matrix, that's so important, and that you have the right team listed out, that really shows them, hey, this is a capable team, my risk is low, and my odds of being able to have this project returned to me on time and under budget, which is always the ultimate goal, those odds are high with this team. So if I had to narrow it down to 3, I'm going to pick the one here that really gives me those warm and fuzzies with that good teaming agreement that shows the past performance and shows that they've been able to do projects in the past. And there's ways around if you're bringing in new partners, and that's for another podcast.
That's another episode.
Yeah.
Well, it is difficult when you're first getting started in the federal space, because if no one will give you an opportunity, how do you build the resume that helps you win future projects? It's the chicken and the egg thing, right?
Relevancy is the key.
So how much, when you're evaluating a partner to bring onto a specific team for a particular RFQ, how much does specific project experience matter to you? For example, I might have a lot of experience with building or designing barracks for the Army, but now you're looking at a VA solicitation for a major renovation at a VA healthcare facility.
Yeah, I mean, it is important that, I want to know, and the government wants to know, that you have experience with those building types. And if I'm going after a hospital and you say my past performance that we have with our firm for federal work is a headquarters building or a barracks that's very different from a hospital.
Very much so.
It's not going to present well for our team. So I may come to you and say, well, what else do you have relevant? It doesn't necessarily have to be federal. Have you done, commercial hospitals? What kind of bills and involvement did you have with that? And have you bring that in to make sure that that relevancy is there?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense because the technical requirements are vastly different, on the design side. There's so many systems we have in healthcare that don't exist in other building types.
And that's where we get to have those, those conversations in a kickoff meeting and through the design phases when you have that right consultant that has that relevant experience, even if it's not federal, to say, hey, this is what we're doing outside of the federal space. This is the latest and the greatest, and this is how we would like to incorporate it into your projects. And that really makes us as a prime look good. Look what we've brought to the table for you. This is what's going to keep your federal buildings up to date and up to code and ahead of the game. It makes a big difference, yeah.
And now for a newer topic, right, is these wonderful 4 letters that keep us up late at night, CMMC, which is the cybersecurity maturity model.
Confuse many, manage compliance also.
So while the CMMC requirements are not brand new, they've been floating around for several years now, the government has specifically said you will have to have CMMC level 1 for next fiscal year to even participate on the team. What do you think they're really going to follow through with that, and how is that affecting the decision of who you're going to team with?
Yes and yes. So yes, they're definitely going to follow through with it. We're already seeing RFPs, solicitations coming out on that cover page that says you have to have your now even level 2 self-certification submitted with your proposal and response to the government. So that's a huge factor. And for us, especially being the designer of record, the DOR, we have to make sure that all of our consultants that we are choosing are on that same level of compliance. So if they're telling us on page 1 on that cover that, hey, CMMC documents have to be here and submitted, I'm not only responsible for submitting that, but I know that that's telling me this project is at a level of scrutiny or security that we have to be aware and cautious of, that I have to make sure my consultants are at that level too. So that is now a new factor that I have to take in of, as I'm building this team, where are they geographically? What is their past performance? How well qualified are they? But now, are they CMMC compliant? Can you send me a copy of your documentation that shows that self-cert for level 1 or level 2? And that's a huge thing. So for you guys, and bravo, by the way, getting that level 2 audit passed, being level 2 certified, not even self-certified, you're ahead of the game, and it makes it so easy to say, yeah, when this rolls out and this continues on to past a level 2 self-certification onto a level 2 C3PAO, which is a certified third party audit.
Yet another acronym to remember.
I know. Let's speak in code. So when they have that certification, that's the next level that's coming, that I think is December, but you guys are already there. So for us to be able to build those teams and say, hey, it's calling for low voltage, it's calling for security, it has to have an RCDD with this many years of experience, but now on the cover page, here it is. Check the box. Yeah, that's an easy one to call. It's CRUX.
Well, we identified that a year and a half ago. We're a small business. We're small business certified. It's a lot of work for us to compete against the big boys and girls in our space. I wanted to find some competitive advantage. So I look at as difficult and as painful as it was to get through the CMMC level 2, all the things we had to change and address in our business, it was a lot. It took us 9 months. It took a very significant investment in dollars to get there. But now it makes me happy that I can offer that we're done, and now it's no stress on you when you're picking a team. I want there to be a frictionless relationship between us where, oh, well, if I hire CRUX, they have the past performance, they have the proper certifications on their team, and now they're in compliance on the cyber side. So you can relax and not have to worry about anything else, because we're going to make sure we keep checking all those boxes to take all the friction out of the process. And I want no reason for the government to push back on the team you're presenting. So
well, and you asked earlier about are you guys a good partner to us? That's another one of those things, that a step that you guys have taken to be a good partner to us. And yes, I'm going out and I'm finding these opportunities and I'm building the teams, but by knowing that you guys have that certification, it makes my job so much easier, and it's much appreciated.
Well, it wasn't fun.
No, it's not. It's a lot of policy.
It's a lot of policy, and not to completely bag on CMMC, because there are some definitely positive things that came out of that. I think we've tightened up our overall business processes. There were definitely some things we were probably more lax on than we should have been, but you're not necessarily cognizant of it on the non-federal programs.
Yeah, and a lot of things you're already doing that you're like, well, we already do that, and that's what's required, but we just didn't have that in writing.
Right, and that's exactly right. There were a lot of good things, good policies that we were actually practicing, but we didn't have it solidified in an actual policy manual, which is a big part of what CMMC is requiring is, okay, go figure out all the parts and pieces and who's got access to your data and how is it exposed and how are you going to lock that down and contain it and protect it. And then you got to go write down what you're doing so that we can audit against that to say, are you doing what you say you're doing, or are you not doing what you say you're doing?
Right.
So there's definitely some positive outcome from that, just even in our commercial work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're a better firm for it. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's definitely painful for a firm of any size to go through that process.
Sure.
I think the bigger firms have it even worse because there's a lot more moving parts.
Well, yeah, the more offices you have, the more locations, the more staff, remote staff, then there's that whole aspect into it. Yeah, so. The difficulty definitely scales with the number of people you have that are on the Fed side. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you guys are dealing with that right now.
We are. We're getting through it.
Well, I don't see any gray hairs yet. It must be going okay.
Got a good hairdresser.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing kind of your mental process and your overall sort of business qualification process when you're building a team for your FedGov work.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for being a good partner to us and making it an easy choice when we see that qualification that comes up for those RCDD specialists and security specialists. It makes it an easy choice for us, so I appreciate you guys.
Hey, we have a lot of nerds to help you at any time.
I love nerds. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Heather. Good to talk to you.
Oh, thank you.